So listen to this. They say Lamine Yamal should have won the Ballon d'Or, yet Lamine Yamal did not win the Champions League, Lamine Yamal did not win the Club World Cup, and he didn't win the Nations League either, so I guess he must have been the best player at each one of those tournaments, right? Well, who was La Liga's MVP? That was Raphinha. Who was the Champions League's MVP? That was Ousmane Dembele, and sure, maybe the Young Player of the Year. That was Désiré Doué. And the worst of all, after hyping up the Nations League to be the Ballon d'Or decider, getting everyone in the world to stop and hold their breaths waiting for those two remaining games, guess who was the MVP there? It was Nuno Mendes, precisely the guy who was man-marking him. Look, don't get me wrong, I know people are very passionate about him and for good reason, so it is inevitable that some people will take this video the wrong way, and that's why I want to start this by saying one thing. Lamine Yamal is phenomenal. However, I would like to get into my rant by putting up one question. In this digital age where most people are watching football through their phones, mostly through Twitter, TikTok highlights and SofaScore, how easy is it really to differentiate what part of this excitement is real or raw and how much of it is fabricated, recontextualized and polished before it gets to us? After all, even Johan Cruyff himself wrote about a decade ago that, personally, I cannot take this award seriously anymore. It's a media circus, everybody votes for their man. And if you thought that clubs, agents, even sportswear brands like Nike or Adidas are going out of their way to influence the voting behind closed doors, let me remind you that already back in 2022, PSG was put under investigation for literally trying to bribe Pascal Fer, the actual organizer of the Ballon d'Or, not with money but various favors. And yes, I can already hear you yelling at me that PSG is Dembele's team, not Yamal's, and you're right. So right, in fact, that less than a month ago, Neil Gardner, interestingly the owner of one of the biggest Barcelona fan accounts on Twitter, received an email by a company describing themselves as next-gen marketing and advertising powerhouse, redefining brand storytelling, asking him to make a series of tweets in favor of Dembele's run for the Ballon d'Or, even asking him to treat this with the utmost confidentiality. They're so unashamed about it that when it was exposed, they blamed it on the intern. But again, if you think this is only happening with Dembele, I got bad news for you. Though no concrete evidence has ever come out, there have repeatedly been claims that Fabrizio Romano, probably the most famous football journalist on the planet, has been part of some kind of PR campaign in Yamal's favor. I mean, come on, from my count, he has tweeted about Yamal at least 140 times. Dembele has been ranked #1 by every betting house for a while, and still, not only has he tweeted more about Yamal than him, but 40% of the time that he has tweeted about Dembele, it was because he was actually tweeting about Yamal. His marketing is just on a whole other level when compared to every other footballer. I mean, let's just check TikTok for a second.
Lamine Yamal is like genuinely top 10 players of all time. And it sounds crazy to
Yeah, no wonder the cult of Yamal has been growing at record speeds. As much as it has been incredible to watch him grow over these past few years, we gotta be honest with ourselves. As much as I don't think we're overhyping him at all because the talent is indeed there, I don't even think overrating is the proper word. But I feel like at the current moment, we are over-crediting him, maybe over-rewarding him. Listen, let's get back to the Ballon d'Or. Dembele versus Yamal. Who had the best year? Yamal hit 39 goal contributions in 55 matches, but that number was never the point. The real deal was how he got there. First of all, doing everything with such ease, such class on the pitch, being easily one of the most mesmerizing players on the planet. Even if, I must say, we should always be careful not to value aesthetics over function when it comes to these awards. Though, on the other hand, he did save some of his best moments for the very best of matches, scoring in 3 out of 4 El Clásicos that he played in and then getting 2 assists in the one that remained, precisely in the Copa del Rey final, as well as that wonderful goal against the Netherlands, and above all, a goal in every knockout round of the Champions League, culminating in that phenomenal performance versus Inter in a semi-final that many are calling the greatest ever. Just phenomenal. But wait a minute, what about Dembele? though much more focused on the sheer volume of his numbers with 49 goal contributions in 53 matches, even though he was much more often subbed in and out than Yamal, leading to a goal contribution frequency of 1.27 per 90 compared to Yamal's 0.66. This man still took part in one of the most historic seasons of one of the biggest clubs in Europe. There is no way anyone will ever be able to go back to this season and not see Dembele scoring. Come on, 2 goals in the playoffs, then only one against Liverpool, 2 assists in the quarters, a goal and assist against Arsenal, defeated the reigning champions, and then 2 assists against the same Inter Yamal could not defeat in a final for the first ever Champions League title in the history of PSG. As well as the French Cup, the winning goal in the Super Cup, the league title as the top scorer, and goals against Real Madrid and Bayern on his way to the Club World Cup final, the only one that he did lose. This is the kind of thing football's history books are made of. And not only did he do this after Mbappe's departure, fulfilling the legacy that one of their greatest of all time could not fulfill, not only did he do this after revolutionizing his career, switching roles mid-season, after years of being called a wasted talent, all in all providing just as much of an interesting or entertaining narrative as Yamal. Because, man, it was not boring. Watching defenders try to stop him was hilarious. Too fast, too ambidextrous, too strong, but also with a silky touch. I don't know, man. It sounds like a pretty compelling argument to me. Wherever Dembele went, he finished the job. And that's where I gotta go back and finish talking about Yamal, because as much as that Inter performance was amazing, there's this recurring idea that he was unlucky to get knocked out, that having hit the woodwork 3 times in that game, he should get a pass on not having won that trophy, which leads me to the question, when did the Ballon d'Or become a participation award? After all, this hasn't been a rare occurrence in Yamal's season. I think it's time we talk about the Nations League situation. We all know what happened. With only the Nations League to be played before the end of the season, Yamal and Dembele got matched up in the semi-final, and with the media hyping this up to be the Ballon d'Or decider, which, must be said, given their downplayment of the tournament as a friendly over the previous years, seemed like just another marketing plot to flip a script that was already settled. Yamal joined in, making a series of cryptic social media posts, and even going as far as saying that if people want to decide it on Thursday, then let's play, before, in fact, scoring twice and taking the man of the match to send Dembele home. But as much as I appreciate his guts to go all in a situation like that, then in the final he was a ghost of himself, making sure that in the one final that he did reach out of the 3 international tournaments of the year, he still missed out on the trophy. Remember what I said about the history books of football? Well, the history books, they tend to be written by those who won the battles. However, with all that said, there is still one remaining argument in favor of Yamal that seems truly inescapable: his age. But, once again, there's a simple reply to that. Since when has the Ballon d'Or been a youth trophy or some kind of rookie award? Isn't that what the Copa Trophy is there for? Yamal has just become the first ever player to win it twice, despite being young enough that he will still be eligible for it for the next 3 years. Isn't that an incredible achievement in itself? Isn't it enough? Again, just because Yamal's age makes him more exciting, it doesn't make him better. It should have no effect whatsoever, positive or negative, regarding the Ballon d'Or. And the one thing in all of this that truly grinds my gears is how often the media circus around his age has led people to get it wrong. The guy is already 18, and I guarantee you there will be someone in the comment section of this video getting at me claiming that we have never seen a 16-year-old like this, when in reality, even all the way back when he won the Euros, he was already 17. I mean, sure, it isn't his fault that his birthday is sort of deceiving, coming right after the end of the season, but that argument is incredibly overblown. It seems to me that the whole thing is oddly related to Ronaldo and Messi. Just the other day I read an article in a big newspaper calling Yamal the best teenager ever, even better than Messi. Which makes no sense because, I hate to be the one to say this, but Ronaldo and Messi were nowhere near the best teenagers the world has ever seen. As incredible as they were, at age 17, Ronaldo was putting down 8 goal contributions in 33 matches for Sporting, and Messi was finishing his season with 9 games played and 1 goal for Barca. That comparison makes no sense. If you want a real one, then let me remind you of Kylian Mbappe. Back in 2016, Mbappe burst onto the scene, taking over as Monaco's star player in a matter of months, and still younger than Yamal is right now. He scored twice against Man City and 3 times against Dortmund to reach the semi-finals of the Champions League. And once there, he scored 1 more against Juventus despite getting knocked out regardless, just like Yamal, except that this was Monaco's best UCL campaign in 13 years, and he had also put down 37 goal contributions to beat PSG to the league title, which only happened once in 8 years. And still, rightfully, he only finished 7th that year. Even worse, the following one, he put down 44 goal contributions, went out, won the World Cup, scored in the final, even put down one of the greatest ever performances, scoring a brace to beat Messi's Argentina, and still only finished 4th. And no, he is not the only one. In 2011, though he did turn 19 that year, Neymar put down 33 goal contributions, went head-to-head with Ronaldinho for the game of the century, won Santos their first Libertadores since the times of Pele, and even made the Club World Cup final, and still only finished 10th. And remember, people keep saying greatest ever. That means that in this discussion there should also be Ronaldo, who in the 1993 season at 16 scored against every single team he faced in the league, at one point scoring 5 in a single game, scoring 7 in 3 Libertadores matches, with a hat-trick on his debut, as well as of course Pele, who at 17 scored a hat-trick in the semis and put down a brace in the final to win the World Cup, already on top of a club season where he'd put down 84 goal contributions. But yeah, last year, Yamal scored 7 goals and made 7 assists, and we already had him at 8th place. And don't even bother talking about the Euros, because Nico Williams finished 15th. We don't even need to talk about the all-time greats. Let's look at Désiré Doué. 30 goal contributions for the season, treble winner, man of the match in the Coupe de France, man of the match in the Champions League final with 2 goals and 1 assist. And if you look at their stats, about the same per 19 numbers in goals and assists, despite shooting far less than Yamal, creating at the same rate as well, better in every aspect defensively, and though inferior in one-on-one situations, still elite, an incredibly exciting player at times. You could almost mix him up with Neymar. All of this while playing all across the pitch, still finding his place in the team, while Yamal was locked at right winger. Yet, he finished 14th with 1/5 of the votes Yamal got last year. This one, he got 14 times more. And the thing is, I could keep going. What about Raphinha? He was playing in the same club, won the same trophies, same everything, at far better numbers with 56 goal contributions overall, 4 in the Champions League's last 16, 3 in the quarters, 2 in the semis, literally breaking Messi's records. And yet, after actually ranking number 1 for the Ballon d'Or in most betting houses for a while, after that Inter game, in which he was actually the one to score the goal that most assumed would put him in the final, Raphinha went down in the rankings, and Yamal went up. And what about Olise? He finished dead last, even below Florian Wirtz, who was playing in the same league as him, while he had the Bundesliga's own social media accounts calling his campaign the best debut season in the league's history, with more goals and assists than any winger in the top 5 leagues, nearly doubling Yamal's per 19 numbers, an absolutely ungodly scouting report, outperforming Yamal in seemingly every stat. In fact, for a while, if you looked for Yamal's report, you'll not only find that Olise shows up as the one player out the whole database who's the most similar to him, but you'd also notice that, in reality, Yamal only tops the charts in 1 out of the major stats in the report, and it's shots total, which is hilarious considering there are 130 players in the top 5 leagues who've outscored them, including 37-year-old Pedro Rodrigues and 36-year-old Iago Aspas. Even his take-ons, which get talked about so much by stats nerds, well, in that aspect, he still ranks below Jeremy Doku, despite attempting 115 take-ons more than him. Usage rates have to be taken into account. What other footballer is playing within a system that provides them with so many chances to shine in each and every game? If you're always on the ball, you're bound to do something with it. You see, it's truly impossible to make sense of these awards, and we haven't even gotten into the criteria. Famously, last year, despite being the Champions League's player of the season, taking home a goal in the last 16, 2 assists in the quarters, before closing it off with 2 goals in the semis and 1 in the final, taking the Man of the Match awards in both of those rounds, Vini Jr. lost the Ballon d'Or to Rodri. Supposedly first because Rodri had won an international tournament with his national team, which, I guess, should mean that either Vitinha or Nuno Mendes should be the winners now, right? Yeah, no, that didn't happen because it didn't make any sense looking at any other edition of the award ever. Defensive players, even central midfielders, barely ever win. The problem is that at the time, no player had worse marketing than Vini Jr. Which, of course, leads me to the second point, when the organization itself came out with a second justification, pointing to the sign and claiming that aside from individual performance and team achievements, class and fair play are also part of the Ballon d'Or criteria. Which sounds ridiculous now, considering that Lamine Yamal can seemingly never get away from controversy. May it be the time he rushed into the locker room following the Nations League final, taking off his medal before he even got into the tunnel, or his infamous birthday party that not only included dwarves as performers, which is literally illegal in Spain, but also a birthday cake with money, guns, and poker chips on it. And this will be my final point. As I said in the beginning, we really need players like Yamal if we hope not to be bored in this post-Ronaldo and Messi era, but seeing some of these actions, it's hard not to feel like he's taking the Neymar route. Now, he has the number 10 on his back and he may feel immortal, but he must be reminded we got it from, not Messi, but Ansu Fati. When Yamal scored his first Champions League goal, it was the second youngest ever, because at one point, Ansu Fati was doing it at an even younger age. In 2020, having turned 17 midway through the season, he finished his year with a goal contribution every 110 minutes, a rate even higher than Yamal now that he's 18. But then, it was all gone in a blip. And if there's one thing that can speed up that process is to keep going down that route, following the drama, the celebrity lifestyle and cheap thrills. And if there's one other parallel with Neymar that scares me is that he too had a father who got way too involved and could not keep out of his son's way. Regardless, second place at the Ballon d'Or at 18 is an unbelievable achievement. I just wish we could enjoy this player without feeling like he's being shoved on our throats. After all, I'm sure he'll win it, if not this year, maybe the next.